What's up, guys? My name is Dakota Wint, and this is my podcast called A Place for Humans. And, well, what's going on? What do I gotta say? How are we gonna start this podcast? I guess I could start it by saying that I took 2 shots of espresso. I hardly drink coffee, and I'm feeling wild right now. Yeah, I don't know. Today's Monday. What's going on in my life? I just shared a video of me getting spit on and getting my tarot read by an elderly Bruja, or a witch. And a lot of you guys wanted me to talk about that in the podcast, so I'll start it off with that. I'll start off with that story. So I went to a market in Mexico City called Sonora Market. This market is infamous for witchcraft. The outside of the market looks like a normal market. It's a big yellow building that says, I think, Mercado de Sonora, and which means the market of this Sonora Market. And on the outside, you have flower vendors and people selling just kind of normal street vendor type of stuff. And then on the inside of the market, you have a bunch of children's toys and a bunch of costumes of like Iron Man or the Incredible Hulk or princesses or unicorn onesies, or you have big bouncy balls and toy guns and yeah, pretty much anything you can think of that would be kind of at a toy store. But in the heart of the market, on the inside of the market, if you keep digging your way through to the center of it, there is a bunch of traditional medicine from Mexico and a bunch of brujeria, which means witchcraft. A bunch of witchcraft supplies are here in the market. And so also inside this market, you can find people that do things like read your palms or read your tarot, or the kind of stuff you would expect to find in there. And my impression of this market was it was a bit like a Halloween store. I actually bought a couple things. I bought a couple things for the market. I bought this right here. This is a little statue of Santa Muerte, and I always thought this was interesting. It has something. I don't know if you can see on the camera for those of you guys watching on YouTube, but it has something in it. Like they put some kind of bean or nut inside of this little thing and covered it up with a clear glue or something. I don't know if that has something to do with the beliefs of people that worship Santa Muerte, but it's got a little owl on there. And for those of you guys that remember my podcast of me talking about hanging out with a Satanist, I haven't uploaded those videos on YouTube yet, but for those of you guys that saw some of it on a couple podcasts ago, with the big giant devil statue with the big giant devil red dick, I put this Santa Muerte on top of the giant devil dick. And that devil dick had real human blood on it. I don't know why. I forget the story why it had human blood on it, but this giant 10-foot devil statue had actual human blood like scattered on it. We need Dexter in there to figure out exactly what was going on. Some kind of blood analyst. The Satanist also gave me this little coin here. I don't know if you guys can see again, but the coin has a pentagram on it and a sun, a yin-yang, and some kind of symbols. And on the back, it has a triangle with an eye in it and some other kind of symbols. So there's some relics I took back from hanging out with the Satanist. And then I bought this soap in the market. Mi español es no bueno. So let me try to read some of this. It says, well, basically, this is soap that you rub on your body, and it's supposed to release pheromones and attract handsome boys or handsome women to want to have sex with you. As you can see here on the front of the box of soap, it has It looks like it has 2 women making out, but it's actually just a boy with long hair. Because if you look closely, he has a beard, but you can't really tell. It says jabón veneme con feromones. So it's like soap that releases pheromones with pheromones. Yeah, so I haven't used it yet, but I'm sure it works, and well, just kind of carrying it around works. I can confirm. Just kidding, but I don't ever get laid. But I do have old women spit on me, and I pay them for it. So I went to visit this woman because I was stopped while walking through the market, kind of just vlogging around, and you can check that vlog out. It's on my YouTube channel, dAKOTA of Earth. And someone came up to me and was talking about, do you want your hands read, your palms read, or your tarot read? And I said, yeah. And they sent me to this other woman, which is the woman in the video. I forget her name. But she read my tarot for about 45 minutes. And you guys wanted me to watch a bit of it and react to it. So, yeah, let's watch a bit of it. And I can tell you what I was thinking in that moment, or sort of what was going through my head. The video is called Witchcraft Woman Spits on Me After Tarot Reading. How do I record this thing? Okay. So, my friend Ho was helping me translate, and also taking me to the market, because the market can be a bit dangerous, especially if I'm walking around with a camera and stuff like that. Apparently people get robbed in daylight here in Mexico City around these markets, and I didn't feel in danger at all. I mean, I guess I had Ho there, and I usually don't kind of feel in danger, which is a bad quality.
3 times.
But
yes.
okay, so here's the video of the lady. Oh shit, hold on. I think it stopped recording. Let me record it.
It's okay.
Okay.
No.
Let me back it up.
I am
dAKOTA.
No. You have to repeat
I'll
after.
repeat. Okay.
Well, okay, so earlier in the day, you guys might have seen a video of another guy cleansing me with some herbs. And is it herbs or herbs? We were having this debate earlier in my live stream. I do some live streams on YouTube, and we were having a heated debate if it's herbs or herbs. Anyway, so this guy was doing a cleanse with me using some plants, and he also spit on me. So this is a thing, you know. A part of me was like, they're just spitting on me because they think it's funny. But apparently people do this in Mexico in traditional cleansings, where they use alcohol to cleanse you of bad energies. I don't know how I felt in the moment. I was just kind of like, wow, this would be interesting footage at the very least. I didn't feel disrespected or anything, but I suppose if like you were just a lady from America interested in getting your tarot cards read and some lady spit on you, I could see how it could be a little bit alarming. But I'm in it for the adventure, you know? So I accept whatever happens.
I am in your full name.
I am dAKOTA.
From?
¿Quieres saber de panorama, salud, dinero, amor, trabajo?
What do you want to know?
O de,
What do
algo,
I want?
o de algo en especial.
What do you want to know about from the cards?
So she's asking me here, what do I
I would
want?
like-
What's my intention with getting my tarot read? And I didn't come with an intention, so I was just like, well, I guess whatever they want to tell me. Okay, let's fast forward it a little bit.
To know,
De quererse, de amarse,
So she starts off by saying that
mismo.
You need to respect more yourself.
that I stress out too much, and sometimes I pretend and say that I love everyone, but I don't always mean it, and sometimes I get angry quick, which I guess is right. But I mean, that's the human condition, you know.
Sometimes you
That's
say
the
that
human
you
condition.
love a lot to the people, but sometimes you get mad really fast.
Un carácter
You have like a strong.
So I don't believe in this stuff. Oops, sorry about that if that was loud. I don't believe in this stuff. I just want to say that. So the thing there's nothing going through my head that's blowing my mind or anything like that. A lot of you guys asked me, like, was I kind of freaking out over the accuracy or anything like that? But a lot of the things, and she's not claiming to be a psychic or claiming to hold any secret truth, I guess. I mean, maybe she is. I guess she is doing tarot readings after all. But she told me that oh shit, I forgot what were we talking about. Well, here, as you can see, she's asking me if I take drugs, and I was like, yeah, I take drugs spiritually. And she said, okay, that's good. Don't take any chemicals. Some of these things like mushrooms, peyote, or mota, which is weed, can help you. She said these things were used. Well, she said that peyote and the honguitos, the mushrooms, were used by the Aztecs and the Incas and the Mayans. And she said those are all medicine. Let me rewind it a little bit and remember what we were talking about. Oh yeah, so some of the things she got wrong was saying, like, she said right here, has there been any tumors, psychiatric, or depressive issues? And I mean, no. That's a very wide spectrum of things. Tumors or depressive issues. So a lot of these times, like, I made a video on my YouTube channel once kind of exposing some of these techniques that these psychics or people use in situations like this to sort of come off like they have some kind of secret knowledge. They'll throw out a statement like that, tumors or depressive issues. And again, that's a big spectrum of things. So if I were like, oh yeah, there is tumors, I would attach myself to that and kind of, I would disregard the other part. And I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe she knew I had a tumor. Or if I didn't have a tumor, and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe she knew I was depressed. Or you could say something like, no, I never had any psychiatric or depression issues, but, my mom has been feeling a little sad lately. And then she could be like, yeah, that's what it is. I can sense that you're having some sort of, some kind of radiance of depression in your immediate circle. And you can kind of just say these statements like this. So I'm kind of familiar with some of these cold reading techniques or some of these psychic kind of methods that people use in these kind of corner shop, or in this case, market readings. So she told me to pick out 12 cards. I accidentally picked out 13 cards. Oh yeah, here she's telling me that I have spirits following me around. And she says there's a boy and there's a girl that look Chinese, and they sit on both sides of me while I sleep. There's two children, one girl on this side and one boy on this side. She has blue eyes, curly hair, and looks Chinese, the girl does. Chinitos, she called them. Chinitos? Blue slanted eyes. And she's saying they follow me because they think I look like somebody in their family. And she's telling me that I need to go, and if I want to see them, I need to go and find a castle. She said it could be anywhere in the world. So that's I don't know. That was the translator also didn't translate some of this stuff to me, so I lost some of the potency of what she was trying to tell me, so I couldn't really react to a lot of it because I don't understand Spanish too well. And here she's saying they follow you because you look like one of their relatives. What else? Oh, and she said that I told her I was going to Oaxaca. Oh, here she's talking about the extra card. I'll get to the Oaxaca thing in a second. Here I gave her an extra card, the Joker card. She told me to pick out 12. I accidentally counted 13. And she takes this she takes this moment of my mistake to tell me that because I picked this extra card, it means that I am bisexual, which I thought was funny. I was like, oh, come on. You're just saying that because I pictured an extra card. She's like, it's not me, it's what the cards say. You're gonna cheat on your girlfriend with a man one day. I was like, okay. Taking the opportunity of to exploit my mistake.
You like that when you say, like, you need
Say
to.
I like boys. There's nothing wrong with liking
You need
boys.
to understand it.
If you're a boy.
Tú vas a engañar
bisexual.
a
She
tu
said. She's
pareja con un
bisexual. You're gonna cheat on your partner
y a tu
with a
pareja
man,
la vas a engañar. Al hombre lo vas a engañar con una
and
mujer.
you will cheat on a man with a
Y
woman.
está inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Ya te está diciendo el tarot.
And she's
de
pointing
ti.
her thing at me. The tarot
Tú
is
puedes
telling me
cambiar
that you can
este
change this
destino.
destiny.
De ti depende,
It's up to
no de
you.
nosotros.
It's only
Es la
depends on
thought that was
conclusión que tú me sacaste. Ajá.
I was like, is it Ho? The guy behind me? I felt the connection the moment we met. And then I told her I was going to Oaxaca to try to find a Bruja, or a medicine woman, a curandera, to carry a mushroom ceremony for me, which you guys have heard me talk about in these past few ceremonies. I did successfully find a brilliant curandera, Mazatecan medicine woman, to give me an amazing ceremony. And she's talking about
En la mañana, en la tarde, o en la noche.
how to invoke the children that follow me around by doing
está
a dark
preguntando,
ceremony with
él
mushrooms.
quiere,
No, porque quiero para que le diga cómo
Right
tiene
here,
que
she's saying,
hacerlo
I
negro.
want to show
Tiene que
him.
ir a una cueva.
I want to show him how to do the dark ritual.
¿Tú a qué hora lo haces? ¿En la mañana, en la tarde o en la noche?
no, but está preguntando, él quiere,
No, porque quiero para que le diga cómo tiene que hacerlo negro.
He has to
Tiene
go
que ir
to a
una
cave.
cueva.
oh, you need to go for
Tiene
a
que
cave.
llevar a una cueva, tiene que haber mínimo 13 estacas, o esas chingaderas para la luz, ¿cómo se llama?
Antorchas.
Antorchas.
It needs to be done
Eso
after
se
6
hace
p.m.
después de las 6 de
to
la
invoke
tarde.
the children. And
After
she was telling me that I
6
needed a
p.m.
bunch of
Los niños
torches. I think she said
es
13, I
antes de
forgot.
las 6 de la
But
tarde.
she told me I
You
needed
want-
to stare into the flame of the torches, and I would invoke these children that follow me around, these blue-eyed, curly-haired Chinese children, these chinitos. And she's telling me that when I meet the medicine woman, to put the mushroom between my lip and my gum, sort of like the place where people chew tobacco. And she said it'll cure cancer. Every 1 to 3 years, put it there, and it'll cure cancer. She said I couldn't tell you about weed though. I've only smelled it, and she said I don't like it because it turns me into a kangaroo. And something I really liked at the end. Oh, here she is spitting on me.
With the good.
She's giving me some
with the
stones.
bad.
Con lo malo,
With the bad.
con lo bueno.
With the good.
Here's the first spit. You can see in my face, I'm like, okay. Spits right on my dick there. Spits right on my nipples here. And neck. It's on my head.
Junto a los pies.
Come, put together your feet.
Put together your foots.
Estando. No te das ahí.
Do not move.
Sit down.
So funny. Yeah, I don't know what was going through my head there. I was basically, trying to take it as a sacred moment. I didn't want to belittle the moment. So in my head, I was chanting, because chanting helps sort of align me to a kind of spiritual place. It gets me out of my thoughts. You know, if I'm having too many judgments, I'll start chanting, because it alleviates the judgments and just puts me on a narrow line of whatever the mantra is I'm chanting. And I was chanting Hare Krishna, which is an Indian mantra. And then what I found interesting is that right after she's done spitting on me, look, I didn't even cut the clip, and she goes, "Have you ever traveled to India?" I didn't even cut that clip. You can see that was only 5 seconds after she spit on me. In my head, I'm chanting an Indian mantra.
Have you ever been in India?
I said, yeah, I've been to India.
4 months.
And she goes,
Por 4 meses fue India.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
I was just saying that in my head.
Yeah.
As we did that, I was saying that in my head.
Allá, religión.
And she's saying she is a Hindu.
Musulmán.
She's a Hindu Sufi.
Sufi.
Dile que para qué quiere si tiene todo.
I looked at what she said here. She said, "Why does he want something if he carries all within him? Why does he want something if he carries all within him? A great potential
Trae un potencial ahí.
with all of my
Todos
tattoos."
los que traes tatuados.
What she was a beautiful woman, though.
What?
And then Ho was like, let's get the hell out of here.
¿Ya?
He was so bored. Yeah, that was a fun experience. A fun little experience. So that was in Sonora Market in Mexico City. Any of you guys can go there if you ever find yourself in Mexico City. Show people a picture of the lady, and you can go to the same lady that I went to. Yeah, I don't know. How did I feel about all that? To me, in my head, I do try to want to embrace all forms of spirituality, because I just find it interesting, you know? I don't even necessarily gotta believe it, but I find it's just interesting to lose yourself in imagination, or to lose yourself in creativity. Why wouldn't you? You know, everyone talks about how they miss being a kid. Well, you still have your imagination, which is what children do. They lose themselves in that, and you can do that still today. It's hard because we get so distracted by having to have a job and having to be serious and pull your bootstraps up and get to work. But fuck that. So yeah, in my head, I was just like, this is gonna be fun footage. This is gonna be a cool video. And I thought people are gonna think it's really funny that this lady spit on me. So it's all lighthearted for me. While I was in Mexico, I was working on this t-shirt that I'm wearing. Hallucination Generation. It's a brand new shirt. This is the first time I've showed anybody. It's going to be on stayhappystayweird.com pretty soon. There's only 100 of them. And there's a typo on the shirt somewhere. I'm not going to show you because I'm embarrassed, but it's all right. You can't really tell. You know, life happens sometimes. On the back, it says, I got a tattoo here. It says Los Niños Santos. I got that when I was in Mexico. Los Niños Santos, with a couple mushrooms. And that means the little saints, which is what Maria Sabina called the psychedelic mushroom. Maria Sabina was a medicine woman, and the reason that I went to visit Huautla, the city where the Mazatec people live, a little town, a little village where Mazatec people live, and they have a long tradition of taking mushrooms and using psychedelic mushrooms as a spiritual sacrament, which is something that I've accidentally stumbled upon, the potency and the spiritual enhancing qualities of psilocybin mushrooms and other types of mushrooms that I've not yet taken, but I've only read about. So yeah, on the back of this shirt, it says Los Niños Santos, Hallucination Generation right here in the front with a little picture of Timothy Leary. It says, call 000 for the time of your life. It's got a little 000 right here. I like this little design here on the bend of the arm. Anyways, I don't know. This is a shirt I was working on. I work on t-shirts sometimes, if you guys didn't know that. Stay happy, stay weird. Some of you guys asked me to talk about some conspiracy theories that I believe in. One conspiracy theory that I really do actually believe in is the Bohemian Grove conspiracy theory. The Bohemian Grove, for those of you guys that don't know what Bohemian Grove is, Bohemian Grove is it's a campground where the elite CEOs and politicians of the world go to hang out for a couple weeks in, I believe, July. It's in the middle of California, about an hour outside of San Francisco. And the Bohemian Club kind of started as a little secret group of artists and influencers, these old influencers, to come together and sort of lose themselves in the imagination, as we were just talking about, to lose themselves in theater and creation. And so that's how the Bohemian Club, the Bohemian Grove, started. It has progressed into a rich kids elite club. And let's look at some of the members that were in the Bohemian Club. Members of Bohemian Grove. A list right here on Wikipedia, a list of Bohemian Club members. See if I recognize anybody. George W. Bush. Both George W. Bush Sr. and Jr. Joseph Coors. I don't know who that is, actually. There's a lot of members. God, this list is too long. Okay, let me look up famous Bohemian Grove members. Right here we got Ronald Reagan, Theodore Roosevelt, George Herbert Walker Bush, Henry Edwards, George Sterling, William Keith, Nixon, Henry Irving, there's a writer that was there. I think Mark Twain, Bohemian Grove. Mark Twain was actually a member of Bohemian Club. Henry Kissinger, Walter Cronkite. That's an interesting one. I didn't know that. Charles Schwab, Bret Hart, Jack London. Is Arnold Schwarzenegger still the governor of California? He was in that also. The term bohemian was meant to conjure the cultured intellectual urban bohemian, as opposed to the impoverished type. They chose an owl as the club's totem and gathered regularly to socialize, drink, and put on and enjoy theatrical and musical performances. The club inhabited temporary locations until it established its permanent headquarters in the early 1930s on Taylor Street in downtown San Francisco. And I think, where's the modern place at? Monterey? I forgot what that little town is called. I've been there. I've been inside of Bohemian Grove. That's why I believe that it's real. I wasn't there when anybody was there outside of the workers that maintain the campground when no one is there. But Alex Jones, crazy Alex Jones that everyone loves or hates, he snuck into Bohemian Grove and caught them on camera doing what is called the cremation of care. This right here is kind of talking about it. It says, in the 20th century, the members' retreat garnered a reputation for involving in highly secretive and cultish rituals, the most well-known of which was the cremation of care. Instituted in 1881, an opening ceremony whose purpose was to make the club members carefree from the outset of the retreat. The performance took place in front of a giant, large concrete owl in the center of the camp at Bohemian Grove. I've seen this giant owl. It's about 40 feet tall. It's huge in front of a little bit of water. And the cremation of care, if you watch the video, actually maybe I can play the video. Bohemian Grove cremation of care. This is the video right here. So they're basically talking to a nature spirit, and they're burning a fake human body. Some people believe that they're worshiping this this Moloch god, this Moloch deity.
History surrounding it. But first off, I wanted to draw your attention to the program that was given out to that crowd of men.
Look how big that owl is. I've seen that in real life. That's a real thing. And here you can hear them talking to the demon, the nature demon. Oh, that doesn't have the audio for some reason. Let me see if I can find one that's got the audio. So basically, they do a mock human sacrifice in front of a giant owl statue. They burn the body while conversating with a voice. Let's see if this one's got the audio. Oh yeah, this one's got the audio here. That's how creepy the music is. And they're all wearing hoods. This is what the presidents and the people leading our country are doing. For real. 2 weeks out of the year. Hanging out, getting naked, hanging out in the woods, worshiping a giant owl statue, burning fake dead bodies. And some people believe that they're actually burning real bodies. I don't believe that too far. I don't get into that. I don't believe in anything I don't know for sure. But what I do know for sure is that they really do this.
And holy are the pillars of this
Here's them talking to the spirit. Weaving spiders come not here. That's their motto. Weaving spiders come not here. Look at, they're carrying torches. This is some straight witchy, occult-like stuff, for real.
Hail, Bohemians, with the ripple of waters, song of birds, such music as inspires the sinking soul, do we invite you into midsummer's joy.
And this is Alex Jones filming this.
The sky above is blue, sown with stars. The forest floor is heaped with fragrant drift. Evening's cool kiss is yours.
I'm gonna fast forward it to the part where they bring the body out.
Shake off your sorrows with the city's dust and cast to the wind. And in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free.
This is the spirit. Listen to that. How creepy is that?
Not with these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire.
I just imagine George Bush in the background like, yeah! With his little dick out. Owl of Bohemia. Let's Google that. Let's Google Owl of Bohemia. Owl of Bohemia. And you know, do I have $1 on me? Oh shit, I don't have $1 on me. You know, if you look at the back of $1, there's a tiny owl hidden, I believe, in the right-hand corner. And if you look really close, or if you look with a magnifying glass, you can see it. Here, I can Google that. I don't know what this Owl of Bohemia is. I believe that Moloch is a Babylonian god, which is a god that you sacrifice children to. I don't know how they made the connection of Bohemian Grove owl being represented by that. Owl dollar bill. You can see it right here. I mean, I guess it could really be anything, but... So that's interesting. Oh yeah, check this video out of Bill Clinton. Someone confronting Bill Clinton about Bohemian Grove.
What do you want me to talk about?
This right here.
Yeah. A fraud? No, it wasn't a fraud, but I'll be glad to talk to you if you'll shut up and let me talk. Now.
I love his accent.
Let me tell you something.
A fraud?
I'll tell you a couple of stories about fraud. The Bohemian Club.
The guy in the background screamed, Bohemian Club.
As you say, the Bohemian Club? That's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right?
That's where all of those rich Republicans go and stand naked against redwood trees. What are they doing standing naked against redwood trees? They're doing satanic rituals, I believe. No, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Who knows what they're actually doing? Could it just be all theatrical? Sure, I believe it could just be all theatrical. I'm okay with that. But even if it's all theatrical, I don't know a single person that's into the theatrics of burning a human body, fake human body, while conversating with a demon.
I've never been to the Bohemian Club, but you ought to go. It'd be good for you. Get some fresh air.
Yeah. So that's a weird one. That's a weird conspiracy theory that I actually believe. And I've been inside Bohemian Grove twice, allegedly. I don't know. I shared this story a couple times online, and I'm scared now that I'm a little older to talk about that kind of stuff. You know, I was a little bit more fearless a few years ago, and you know, the older I get, the more paranoid I get. The bigger my YouTube channel gets. Not that it's, you know, quite a big YouTube channel or anything, but the bigger all these things get, the more paranoid I get, and the more I travel to these other countries and stuff like that, the more I feel. Like me going to Palestine, for example, really, I was very paranoid when I left Palestine. I was getting weird phone calls from unknown numbers. I was singled out in the airport and checked and put into a room. I was arrested by the Israeli military in Palestine. And I don't know, the older I get, the more paranoid I get, and I don't want to put myself in a situation where maybe I can't talk myself out of it or anything like that. So I have been inside of Bohemian Grove, and I can confirm that all the symbolism of the owls, and there's a lot of demonic symbolism of demons with horns and stuff like that, there. Yeah, so that's a conspiracy theory I believe in. Conspiracy theory I don't believe in is the moon landing. Did you know that they lost all the original archival information about the moon landing? NASA lost all the original data in which held the information of the most important human accomplishment, the most important accomplishment that this planet has gave birth to, where this planet gave birth to a species that left the womb, allegedly. And NASA lost it. That's true. NASA lost the archives of the original moon landing. How do you do that? That's one reason I find it not true. And also, if you just watch the videos, here, let's watch a video of the moon landing. It just looks fake to me. There's some conspiracy theories that say Stanley Kubrick actually filmed this and that he was leaving clues in his movies. Like that, for one, looks like the flag was moving. Some people dispute that. It does look like the flag is moving a little bit. Oh, that video didn't show us much. But, you know, when they're jumping around on the moon, it just looks like they're being pulled by wires. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that one. What else we got to talk about? Someone asked me my thoughts just in the live stream I did before this to speak about how I feel about the transgendered people, how I feel about people transitioning, and what I think about the people that disagree with it. I feel like this transgender awareness that we're going through is very interesting from a well, not only from an evolutionary point of view, like a social evolutionary point of view. Oh, hold on, this camera went out. Card full. Uno momento. I think that the transgender awareness that's sort of how I believe that people have always felt this way, that people have always felt like maybe they were born in the wrong body, or maybe felt a little bit more naturally feminine, maybe if you're a man and you never lived up to the kind of masculine mold that society kind of set for you to fulfill, you know. Maybe never didn't fulfill the shoes society gave to you. So why I think this is really interesting from an evolutionary point of view, a social evolutionary point of view, and from the point of view of language, is, well, I believe that identity is not real. I believe it's a useful surviving mechanism, that it makes sense why we have identities, because obviously we need to talk to each other, and we feel as if we are individuals, so we need to eat. You know, this is a biological survival mechanism. Identity, we feel as if we are an individual because that's how we survive. But ultimately, we aren't an individual. We are part of an organism, which gives birth to the illusion of the individual. You know, we're a part of an ecosystem. We're all working together. We're a part of an environment, and we are a part of the universe at a larger scale. Uni, like a unicycle, right? It means one, uni. And verse, you know, verse is like a poem. We are the poetry of the one. So the thing I find interesting about the transgender movement, if I may call it that without offending anybody, the thing I find interesting about the trans movement is that it pushes the boundaries of identity. It breaks down some of the illusions that society has given us. You know, I mean, come on. The idea that a man needs to act this way and a woman needs to act this way is definitely a societal sort of illusion or spell that's being cast upon people to behave a certain way. I mean, we have to address the obvious, that biology does play a part in male and female behavior. We evolved a certain way because it was useful. Women being more family-oriented because they would have to stay back and raise the children while the men went off and hunted. So these kind of things, these are things that are from our previous ancestors, you know. So some of these things are echoing out into the modern age, and because these things aren't necessarily as useful in the modern age, we are changing it. We are evolving past that because it's not the way we have to live anymore. A lot of people can't accept that. But I find it so interesting and intriguing to see where this is going to take us. What is this awareness of this third awareness? You know, most people are living through, I'm a man, that's a female. And fair enough, you know. I think that's an obvious conclusion for most people to come to because that's how most people feel inside. You know, for me as an individual, I don't feel like I'm a female inside. And, you know, I just don't even really feel like, I don't really feel like a man either. I just kind of feel like a human being. But, you know, there are moments in my life where I can tell that I'm driven by masculine biology. You know, I have urges, and I have sort of naturally occurring things. Like I find women attractive, or you know, I might have more sort of masculine qualities than most women would have. And so biology plays a role. You can't deny that biology plays a role. And, you know, men have different bodies than women. But I think this is an interesting position that we find ourselves in, where we are challenging that. And we're saying that, no, that's not how it is. Reality isn't set in stone. Reality is forever changing. Identity is clumsy. It's faulty. It's flimsy. You can play around with identity. You can be whoever you want, essentially. And I like that idea because it's true. You're not a man. You're not a woman. You are not any of these sort of language or these symbols that we attach ourselves to. We are ultimately just a consciousness that found itself in a situation where it has woken up in a happening, in an experience. And I think that maybe this trans movement is leading us to a kind of spiritual awakening, to where we realize identity isn't truth, that identity can be played with. Especially with technology. A lot of people say, like, these things are unnatural. These things are unnatural. But this is just language. People get caught up in language so much. You know, we were talking about spells and magic and witchcraft. This is witchcraft right here. This is, all of us are under a spell in which builds a dictionary, which creates a map or creates an experience in which we filter the world through. We have a dictionary which explains the world to us. That's a tree, that's a this, that's a that. And when we interact with these symbols in which we were taught, it builds a perception of reality for us. That's a spell, because language is binding you to this perception. I think transgender awareness coming to the forefront is really going to push the idea that it's an illusion. Who you are is an illusion. And that's how I kind of feel about that. I kind of feel like it's a spiritual practice in some ways, or it's kind of what these sages and mystics from the deep spiritual traditions are kind of saying. They're saying that don't lose yourself in identity, because it's temporary. It's not who you are. They all talk about there being an eternal place within ourselves that's unchanging, which I have concluded as consciousness, you know. The consciousness in me, the consciousness in you is the same. We both have consciousness. That's where, and the consciousness in my dog, the consciousness in my cat, the consciousness in a bug, the consciousness of anything is consciousness. It's a shared quality amongst life. And that thing is unchanging. That thing doesn't change. That thing is what occupies matter. Matter is occupied and emerged from consciousness. And that thing is eternal and unchanging, is what the mystics say. And what these prophets of spirituality have taught us. And I think technology is leading us to that realization. And I think that by being able to manipulate identity through technology, literally to the point that, I mean, you can now have a different body. We are in an interesting position. I've talked about this before, about this technological enlightenment. The technological enlightenment is how that we are all going to naturally be brought to oneness, because oneness is a truth. Oneness, is a truth. I've used this analogy before, but if you look at a tree or plants and soil, the ego mind, the language mind, perceives these things as being separate. We say that's a tree, that's a soil, that's whatever. But these things arise mutually. They arise mutually. You can't have one without the other. So beyond language, the illusion of separateness that we get lost in is a oneness. These things arise mutually. They need each other to survive. In the same way, your eye and your nose have different functions. They're different. If you say, is your nose an eyeball? No, it's not. But that's language. If we step back from language and look, we see that the eye and the nose are expressions of the one body. They're unified expressions that seem separate, but they are separate in that their functions are different, but they all collectively work together in one body. And that's what we are on a grand scale in the universe. We are all one. So I think technology is going to lead us to this realization. Like, you have people from Asia, these Hindu traditions, these Buddhist traditions, these Tao traditions, they all went inward. That's how they realized these things. They went inward, they got quiet, they sat there, and they came in contact with consciousness. Us in the West, we don't know. We don't know about consciousness, or the things we know about consciousness is how can we explain it rationally through logic? Not through mystical experience, not through meditation, but through logic and through science and method and measurement. How can we find out what this is? And I think technology is doing that through, and I think the internet is the beginning stages of this, of the manifestation of the hive mind. We're all connected. We are all connected. And the internet is the manifestation of that. It's all of us coming together in some kind of collective digital way where we are all unconsciously, basically unconsciously, just feeding this machine, feeding the internet, feeding this collective consciousness that has manifested itself in some, well, it's not even in this dimension. Where's the internet at? The internet is everywhere. It's kind of just like space itself. But we tune into that invisible dimension through technology. We tap in to the collected consciousness through technology. We tap into oneness through technology. And we don't realize it yet because it's slow. It's slow. And the universe has been producing this forever. This goes back to the comment of, to tie it all back together, people say things are unnatural, like trans people. People say that it's unnatural, and they can't accept that. But my argument, if it's naturally happening, then it's natural. It's naturally happening. Because, I mean, it's happening. Nature is producing it. You think you're separate from nature. That's why you have this shitty opinion, is because you think you are different from what nature is doing. You don't think that what you are producing is natural, is nature. But you are nature. You are nature. This is all an expression of nature. Everything is an expression of nature. This is naturally happening. Technology is also naturally happening. The earth produces technology. The earth produces humans. Alan Watts used to say, the earth produces people in the same way that an apple tree apples. The earth peoples people. We are natural. And we have been working towards this oneness, this technological enlightenment, this technological oneness ever since the wheel. We've been rolling that wheel all the way to the internet, all the way to computers, all the way to virtual reality. We are going to merge with machines. We are going to tap in and merge our consciousness with the machine consciousness. We are going to have access to infinite dimensions of creation, which is what God is. God is potential, creative potential, infinite creative potential. Where does infinity exist? Space, the internet. The internet is infinity. What is the hologram? A hologram can be 1 inch by 1 inch, but hold infinity in it. You can move through an entire world, an entire universe within this little tiny hologram, because it's just a dimension of potential and a dimension of possibility. This is what God is. This is what creation is. This is what the imagination is. It's just infinite potential waiting to be realized. That's what the internet is. That's what the machine consciousness is going to do for us. It's going to tap us in, and we are going to be back into our original God state, a state of pure creative potential. And I think this transgendered movement is pushing towards that. Everything is pushing towards that. If you step back and you look at the way things are happening, sorry to say it, but that's how I see it. I see this horizon emerging. I hear the drums of the technological Armageddon approaching from the shadows. No, I don't think it's Armageddon. I think it's just what nature is doing. This is what nature wants to happen because it's happening. And I know that's hard for a lot of people to accept, and I know a lot of people are going to think it's weird that I somehow merged the transgendered awareness movement into this technological oneness, but I think it goes to identity. It all stems from identity. We're going to lose our identity. We are going to transcend identity. And these things are expressions of that. It's coming. It's coming. The tidal wave of transcendence is slowly rising. So, yeah, I don't know. That's my take on that. What else? Oh, yes. Another thing people wanted me to talk about that I was in my live stream earlier. They wanted me to talk about how I write poetry. I've been writing a lot of poetry. I'm gonna try to put out a poetry book either at the end of this year or sometime next year. 2020. Holy shit! It's about to be 2020. What the fuck? Time isn't real because where is it going? Yeah, that's weird. Wow, I just looked at the calendar. It's about to be 2020. That sounds like the future. Like, we're pretty close to 2100. We're not that far away. Like, shit, our kids, if Earth remains sustainable for human life, our kids might be alive. Our kids are going to make it to 2100 potentially, especially with technology. Shit. We might even make it to 2100 with technology. We might be old, but we still might be able to do it. But some of my process of how to write poetry is just sort of like, what do I do? Well, I try to storytell. That's where all this stems for me. My YouTube, my poetry, like my travel vlogs, all these things are my attempt to storytell and to build a little narrative in which can evoke emotion or invoke inspiration or teach you something about yourself through the expression of the other. Teaching you how to connect to oneness through the expression of the other. So I write poetry. I just tune into that. I just allow a story to play out in my head, and I just kind of write it down. Like, if I see lovers walking by and it makes me wish that I had that, I will kind of create a character in my mind that feels the same way I do, and I will write how he feels or how she feels. It's fun to write from other perspectives too. When I was in Mexico, I had the realization that I didn't have to write poetry that people liked. And that's been such a big thing that's held me back in life is that writing, like, I want people to like my poetry, I want people to like my art, but they don't have to. And me trying to live up to everyone's expectation has kept me from it's held me back, it's taken so many moments of where I could have just been writing because I want to write, because that's what I kind of do, it's made me feel like I have to live up to some expectation. But I was really stoned sitting in a park in Mexico City, and I was just like, wow, I'm really dumb for thinking that I had to live up to expectations. And since that realization, I've been writing a ton, and that's why I'm gonna try to release a book. But yeah, that's how I write poetry. I just sort of try to storytell. You know, like you could write a little poem about that lady that spit on me. What could you say? You could say like, I don't know. I couldn't pull nothing out of my ass just then. Wouldn't it be funny if I really did just like pull a poem out of my ass and like, oh, and it's just like Shakespeare. I win an Oscar. And also, I win a Nobel Prize for being able to create matter from my orifice on command. You know what's funny is that a lot of people won't believe this statement, but Charles Manson, well, I wrote Charles Manson a letter when I was in high school. And he sent me a poem back on a postcard. I don't know where it's at. I really want to find it, so I'm going to tear my room apart one of these days and find it. A part of me thinks someone stole it, but Charles Manson actually sent me a letter of, well, it didn't really make any sense. The postcard said, I think I might have a picture of it on Facebook somewhere. I'll have to dig it out. The postcard said something about saving trees and cleaning the water, and it didn't really make any sense at all, but I thought it was really cool. And I remember I was in high school, and I was just like, hey, dear Mr. Manson. I was curious about his thoughts on the universe, actually. And I remember writing, like, what do you think about aliens? And I just wanted to pick his brain. And he answered nothing and just told me to save the trees. So that was, I guess, the highlight of my existence, is being recognized by a famous cult leader. He's an interesting guy from a psychological perspective. Very charismatic. Very charismatic, and definitely was an interesting case. Some people, I don't know if he killed anybody. That's the story. The story is that he didn't actually kill anybody, but that he was convincing people through drugs and charisma to murder people for him. So, where are we at? Well, we made it to an hour. I didn't think I was going to make it to an hour. I didn't have nothing to talk about, really. I was nervous. What else can we talk about for a minute? I don't know, you guys. I have a Twitter. If any of you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I don't know. I don't ever talk about it or promote it, but I have a Twitter. It's at Dakota Wint. And if you leave your comments, for those of you guys that are watching here on YouTube, leave a comment below with your username if you use Twitter, and I'll follow you back. You can also suggest some topics for the podcast. And, I also have an Instagram. You guys can follow me over at Instagram at Dakota Wint. And you can, if you'd like to support this podcast and get the podcast a day early, and also other content, like all this Mexico content of me hanging out with the Satanist, me hanging out with the shaman, me hanging out with the curandera that gave me the mushroom retreats, all this stuff is already uploaded to my Patreon. Hours and hours of footage, uncut. I just uploaded everything. I uploaded all my footage. There's probably 12 hours of footage on there. I think it's $5. My Patreon is $5 a month. So if you support my YouTube channel and you want sort of exclusive content, no pressure, but that's how you can support this channel, is by going to patreon.com/DakotaWint and signing up for that $5 tier. The $5 tier. That's how you get all this stuff. Or if you want, you can leave any kind of donation you'd like on there. Or you can head over to Stay Happy, Stay Weird and buy a t-shirt. This shirt I'm wearing now will be up there eventually. Like I said, there's only 100 of them, so they'll probably go pretty quick. When they're up there, I'll let you guys know. You can use code aplaceforhumans for 10% off. aplaceforhumans. StayHappyStayWeird.com. There's a lot of cool stuff on there right now. You guys will like some of the stuff that's over there. And that's a way to support me without actually feeling like you are supporting me, because you kind of get something in return. So I guess that's it. I guess that's it for this podcast. I drink a bunch of coffee, so I'm wired. And yeah, I guess I'm gonna pana finawana tatanka kiawa. You guys want to learn something? I don't know what language it is, but tatanka kiawa means the buffalo are coming. So I leave you with that knowledge. Tatanka kiawa. Farewell, my friends. I love you all. Please leave me a positive review on iTunes. You can also listen to A Place for Humans on Spotify. And make sure to turn that little bell on if you guys are watching on YouTube, so that you can be notified when I am live streaming or when a podcast releases. That's right, baby. A Place for Humans. Los Niños Santos. That's us, the little saints. R.I.P. Maria Sabina. R.I.P. Grandma. R.I.P. Tupac. And R.I.P. to Jesus Christ. And to all the other greats that we have lost. Peace out. My name is DAKOTA of Earth. Click subscribe. Mic drop. Mic drop. Drop top. Cooking up on a crock pot. I gotta pee because I'm real hot. Won't stop. F the cops. It's like I love the police, because if I ever get in trouble, I will call them.